Good afternoon, sir and classmates. Today I'm going to recite the definition of CDI 1 of criminal investigation and intelligence as my final examination. So I will start. So we start. Investigation was derived from the Latin word investigare or investigatus, which means to trace or track. It may have been derived also from vestigium, another Latin word which literally means footprint, and it is the act or process of careful inquiry or research. Then criminal investigation, it is the art and science which deals with the study of identity and location of the offender, as well as providing evidence of his guilt in criminal proceedings. Then the collection of facts, truth, proof, and realities in order to accomplish the threefold aims, phases, and objectives. So first is identify the guilty party. Second is locate the whereabouts of the offended party, and the third is provide evidence of his guilt. The next is criminal investigator. Criminal investigator, a public safety officer who is tasked to conduct the investigation of all criminal cases as provided for and embodied the revised penal code and criminal laws which are criminal in nature. Then next is qualities of a good investigator: perseverance and determination. Then intelligence or katalinuhan, honest, then understanding of the people and environment. Then the last is keen observer or masigasig. Then next is the investigator. The investigator must seek to establish the 6 cardinal points of investigation, namely 6 cardinal points. First is what specific offense has been committed. Second, who committed the offense. Third, where the offense was committed. Fourth, when was committed, when it was committed. Then fifth is why it was committed. Then the last is how the offense was committed. Then next is goals of crime investigation. Determine if a crime has been committed, legally obtain information and evidence under the goals of crime investigation. First, determine if a crime has been committed, legally obtain information and evidence to identify the person responsible. Then arrest the suspect, recover stolen property. Then the last is present the best possible case to the prosecutor. Then next is 3 tools of investigation or 3 I's. information, the knowledge or data gathered by the investigator from records and persons. Second is interview or interrogation, the art of questioning, whether casual or skillful. Then the last is instrumentation, scientific examination of real evidence, application of instruments and methods of physical sciences in detecting crime. It is the sum total of the application of all sciences in investigation known as criminalistics. Source of information, regular sources acquired from open source record and files. Then cultivated source, furnished by informer and informant. Then next is grapevine sources, coming from underworld characters such as prisoners or criminals. Then informer distinguished from informant. Informer, the one who furnished the information, of the investigator, mainly for purpose of reward or remuneration. Then informant is provide the information to the prover voluntarily without any consideration. Take note, informer is regularly paid, while informant is not. Types of informant: anonymous or nameless informant, the one who provides information to law enforcement while refusing to identify him or herself. Rival elimination informant, gives information to eliminate the rival person or gang due to competition or other motives such as revenge. Then next is false informant, reveals information of no value, appears to be on the side of the law and for throwing out the suspicion from himself or from his gang or associates. Then next is mercenary informant, sells information he or she could one of the members of the syndicate. The next is double crosser informant, confess information as an excuse to talk to the police in order to get more information from them more than he gives. The next is human informant. She could be an associate of the syndicate and she uses her body charm and beauty to obtain more information. The next is incidental informant, individuals who furnish information with no intention of repeating his services of furnishing information on continuing basis. The next is motives of informants, vanity, civic-mindedness, fear, repentance, avoidance of punishment, then competition, revenge, jealousy, and remuneration. The next is interview, a simple inquiry or conversation types elicitation of information from willing victim or witnesses relevant to a certain crime, incident, and event under investigation. Then purposes and objectives of interrogation. First is obtain valuable facts, eliminate the innocent, identify the guilty party, and obtain confess. The next is surveillance, is the observation of the persons, places, or vehicle for purposes of obtain information. The next is the three general kinds of surveillance. First is tailing or shadowing, the act or following the persons. It depends on the number of surveillance. It depends on the number of surveillance available, volume of pedestrian traffic, and importance of concealing the surveillance. Then the second is casing or reconnaissance. Then the third is the undercover operation or roping. Then next is the methods of shadowing. One-man shadow is extremely difficult and should be avoided. If unavoidable, keep subject in view at all times. Then two-man shadow, two agents are employed to follow the subject. Then the last is combined foot auto surveillance, employment of surveillance on foot and agents in an automobile. Modern techniques of interrogation. First is the bluff on a split pair. This is applicable when there are more than one suspects. The suspects are separated and one is informed that other has talked. Next is the Matt and Jeff. Two agents are employed. Matt is the relentless investigator who is not going to waste any time because he knows the subject is guilty. While Jeff, on the other end, is obviously a kind-hearted man. The next is pretense of physical evidence. The investigator may pretend that certain physical evidence has found by laboratory expert against him. Then next is extenuation. The investigator indicates he does not consider his subjects in indiscretion a grave offense. Then the attitudes of a good interrogator dominate the interview. Avoid distracting mannerism, language, dress code, preliminary conduct, presence of other persons. Then the last is place or interrogation room. Then confession, the direct acknowledgement of guilt arising from the commission of crime. A statement of the suspect directly acknowledging his guilt. Then admission, a self-incriminatory statement by the subject falling short of an acknowledging guilt. It may be a direct acknowledgement of the truth of the guilty fact as charged, or of some essential parts of the commission of the commission of the criminal act itself. Then the last is type of confession, judicial confession made by the suspect and accused in open court. The next is extrajudicial confession. This kind of confession is inadmissible unless corroborated by corpus delicti. That's all po, sir. Thank you.